I'm Peter Hewitt, Virtual Chief Information Security Officer at Kobalt. Today I want to talk to you about the Essential 8, a cybersecurity framework for Australian small to medium business. Why the Essential 8? Australia is made up of small to medium enterprises. They power the economy, over 2.7 million companies, which is nearly 97% of all businesses in Australia are less than 20 employees. And cybersecurity is hard for these companies. They're not specialists in cybersecurity or information security. They're focused on running and being profitable in their own businesses. So the Essential 8 was developed by the Australian government to lend a hand to these small businesses. It was originally developed as a model to work in all businesses by the Australian Signals Directorate, which later became the Australian Cybersecurity Centre. And it was based on a document, a very large and complex document called the Information Security Manual. They distilled out the top 8 strategies for preventing cyber threats and called them the Essential 8. It's a framework that's designed to adapt over the years, and it changes every year and evolves to meet the growing threat. And it provides a starting point for businesses who aren't sure what they need to do in terms of cybersecurity. It really answers that question. And it's not a standard. It's not like an ISO 27001 or a SOC 2, but it is a solid, measurable framework, and sometimes easier to implement than either of those two. And it's technology agnostic. It's not designed around Microsoft or around Macs or around Linux. It works on any platform. So fundamentally, it was created in 2017 and has been evolving ever since, and is managed today by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre. You can go and find ASD or the ACSC or the Essential 8 online. It provides a simple to understand model to implement cyber risk mitigation strategies in business, and it encompasses 4 maturity models. Maturity level 0 is really companies that have no cybersecurity. Maturity level 1 is strategies to defend against attackers that are using commodity tools that are easily accessible on the web. Maturity level 2 is designed to help organisations defend against attackers using target-specific tools. So they might be developing tools or using tools that are specific to the agricultural industry or the manufacturing industry or the utilities sector. And level 3 of the maturity model is designed to defend against attackers that are using tools that have been custom built for a particular target. Typically, we're talking about large institutions, banks, government departments. So what are the mitigation strategies? They broadly come into 3 categories: prevention, limiting impact, and data availability. And really the 4 areas you need to focus on in prevention are application control. Application control is about knowing what applications are being used on your desktops and devices and servers. Patching applications is about making sure that the applications you're using on a daily basis are the latest versions. You need to be making sure you're updating your Adobe Acrobat, you're updating your Microsoft Office applications as soon as the patches become available. In terms of Microsoft Office, one of the primary vectors for the bad actors is Microsoft Office macros, and the vast majority of companies never use Microsoft Office macros, so it's recommended to completely disable them in your business. And the final one is user application hardening, configuring the applications that people are using on a daily basis to limit the attack surface. Things like disabling pop-ups, disabling JavaScript in browsers, those sorts of things. In terms of limiting impact, the primary thing that's recommended is that administrative privileges are restricted. So make sure that only the absolutely necessary people have access to administrative accounts, because once the bad guys get in, that's what they target. Once they make themselves an admin or get access to an admin account, they can expand in the network and do damage. Patching operating systems is another one. We'll all be familiar with Windows and Apple Macs popping up and telling us it's time to update. Don't ignore those messages, update. Multi-factor authentication is another key factor, and you'll have seen this starting to get implemented by a lot of the platforms you use on a daily basis. There's now legislation in Australia that Australian financial institutions need to use multi-factor authentication. What is multi-factor authentication? It's quite simply just having a second check to make sure you are you when you log in. And you'll have seen that with an SMS sent to you by the federal government of Australia to confirm your identity, or your bank asking you to open the app, as well as being logged in on your desktop or laptop to confirm it is you behind the keyboard. And finally, under data availability, the main focus is regular backups, making sure that you've got your data stored securely in a way that it can't be accessed by the bad guys, so that if the worst does happen, you have a way to recover. Challenge, of course, is that in small business, you're not an expert on any of these things. And it's hard to know where to start or how to do it. You know, keeping track of your status versus the Essential 8 or any methodology or strategy is difficult if you don't know how to do that. And of course, if you know a bit about Windows, but you don't know anything about Macs, you've got people working from home, they're bringing their own devices, they're choosing Macs, you've got multiple operating systems. Managing multiple SaaS platforms. SaaS stands for Software as a Service, and you'll be using SaaS applications every day. When you log into your internet banking in a browser, you're using a SaaS application. And you'll have a lot of those in your business today. Increasingly, that's how we consume all of our platforms and productivity tools. Managing multiple security vendors. You might have a firewall vendor and an application security vendor and an antivirus vendor. How do you keep track of each one of those and make sure they're not overlapping or leaving gaps? And finally, in a small to medium business, you probably haven't got dedicated cybersecurity staff. You might have somebody who's got an interest or an IT manager, but they're not really an expert on cybersecurity. Now, those are all a big challenge for small to medium enterprises. The good news is that there's a solution to that. At Kobalt, we partner with a company called Vanta. Vanta are a fairly new company, but they are all about providing companies with a SaaS platform, which is a GRC tool, which is a government's risk and compliance platform. And it allows you to tie in all of those things on the previous slide into one view so you can see exactly how you stack up against the Essential 8 or against ISO 27001 or SOC 2 or GDPR or HIPAA or any standard that you might be required to comply with for the business that you're working in. Kobalt, as a business, specialises in cybersecurity and compliance. We've been doing it for 5 years. We only work with small to medium enterprises in the SaaS sector, and we can do everything you need to help you on your journey, whether that be ISO 27001 compliance, help with the GDPR for consumer privacy information, or helping you roll out an antivirus platform or implement the Essential 8. So if that sounds interesting to you and you'd like some more information, we'd love to meet with you. Feel free to reach out to me at the contact details below or just book a meeting in my calendar for 30 minutes and we'll talk about what you're doing with cybersecurity and how we might be able to help. Thanks for your time.